Glamour Dolls failed to comply with those obligations when it engaged in a failed online advertising campaign on Kickstarter using LFI, Lisa Frank's brand, without LFI's approval, and then refused to pay royalties due when LFI properly terminated the parties' contracts as a result of Glamour Dolls' misconduct. Wait a minute, she didn't know about the Kickstarter? Hello, my friend. I will honestly tell you that until late last night, I did not think that I was filming a video about Lisa Frank and Glamour Dolls today. I actually had a full video planned about preservative-free cosmetics and how freaking ridiculous and dangerous preservative-free cosmetics are. But then I got a very interesting comment from a person named Fake Goth Girl, okay? I get a link. The link is to a court document that I had not previously had access to. This document is Lisa Frank's point of view. It is her countersuit. This is Lisa Frank saying, Glamour Dolls is the bad guy, not me. I didn't do anything wrong. They're the ones that did something wrong. So in today's video, I want to go over Lisa's side of things. What she says in the court documents is the reason why she pulled out of her contract with Glamour Dolls that left backers of the Kickstarter out all of their money. Over $400,000 of their money, including my money. My 75 bucks, gone. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's because this is part 2. I strongly suggest you please watch part 1 of this. It will be linked below. It will be up in a card. It is the background for this video. This video might not make sense if you don't watch that one first. If you don't feel like you have time for an hour-and-a-half long video, what you can do is you can scrub through the timestamps, kind of get the idea of what it is. You can also play it on 1.5 speed if you want to. And I will tell you that the average amount of watch time on that video for a single view is about 40 minutes. That has literally never happened on my channel. This is a story that I think you want to hear and that I think that you are going to be engaged in if you choose to. That being said, we are starting at part 2. I'm assuming at this point that you have seen that video and that you have that background knowledge. And also, side note, I mentioned this at the end of the video, but there's probably about 40 comments mentioning Bailey Sarian's video on Lisa Frank based on the Jezebel article that we talked about in the first part of this. Yes, I am fully aware of Bailey's video. I have met Bailey. I've collaborated with Bailey. Bailey did a fantastic job on that video. That video is more about Lisa Frank as a person, so if you want even more context for the story, I highly recommend you go watch Bailey's video as well. What we're gonna do with this part is I'm actually gonna put Lisa Frank's lawsuit on the side of me. So if you are fluent in legalese, you can follow along and see the matchup of what I'm saying. Surprisingly, a lot of it is pretty clear cut and there isn't a ton of lawyer language in this that was difficult to understand. So if you would like to read along, it is going to be next to me over here. Here we go. So this is what Lisa says. This is her side of things. This is all about the deal in 2016, the original deal that she had. Lisa says they struck the deal in June of 2016 that would end in December 31st of 2017. That matches up with Glamour Dolls' side, because I'm assuming their legal contracts, there's evidence of this. So Glamour Dolls, in that original contract, agreed to pay Lisa Frank 15% royalty on the net sales of the products made under the deal, with a minimum payment of $100,000 for the duration of the agreement, including a $25,000 advance. Glamour Dolls promised to do their best to make, sell, promote, and market the products to get as many sales as possible, always focusing on high quality. Now, this part is very, very important because this is really the root of why everything went wrong. They had to get Lisa Frank's approval on literally everything, from the design concepts to the artwork to the molds for production to the final product samples before going into production. Lisa Frank had the right to approve or reject the elements, and Glamour Dolls had to follow Lisa Frank's directions on quality standards. Now listen to this, because this is part of the reason why things were taking so long. So for designs, Glamour Dolls had to wait up to 10 business days. That's about 2 weeks or so for Lisa Frank to approve or reject anything that they submitted to her. If Lisa didn't respond in time, Glamour Dolls was allowed to ask after those 10 business days, hey, what's going on? I need a full description of why you reject this, or I need an approval. But this is the kicker, because even after approval, and remember, this is according to Lisa herself, Lisa could stop the production and distribution of the products if they didn't meet her quality standards. That's a subjective thing. That is not something that can be measured. Lisa can, for any reason, just say this doesn't meet my quality standards and stop production at any point. And it wasn't just for production of product. It also had to do with advertising, packaging, display methods, press releases, anything using Lisa Frank artwork. Glamour Dolls had to run this by Lisa. They had to wait for those 10 business days. And then if she didn't respond in 10 business days, then they had to poke her about it and be like, dude, you told me, what's going on? They had to keep poking her if she didn't respond after those 10 business days. So remember this original contract that I personally believe was to create the blush, the highlighter, and the 2 brushes. That contract was ending in December. But remember, the Kickstarter had started in February. We're now in December. February, they promised backers 10 additional products beyond these 4 that had already been funded. Lisa's contract is about to end, so they need to start a new contract. This is what Lisa says was in the new contract. Same 15% royalty on the net sales of the products, plus 20% royalty on sales made directly to retail customers. So this would be if people bought it off of Ipsy's marketplace, or if people bought it from Hot Topic, or at one point they were talking to Walmart. Any of those, Lisa would get a 20% royalty off of. Beyond that, in the first contract, Lisa had asked for at least $100,000 for her fees. In the new contract, Lisa upped that to $500,000. That included an upfront payment of $125,000 that needed to be paid when the contract was signed. 3 more payments would be paid throughout the year to total that $500,000. The rules for making the products were pretty much the same as the first contract. All of the levels of, I need to send it to Lisa and she needs to approve it. And then the 10 business days, all of that was pretty much the same. The only thing that changed, which we'll find out more about in just a minute, is that they did not have to get pre-shipment approval. So Lisa has already approved the final draft of the product. They have put that into production. They now have the products. They've got thousands and thousands of these products. They don't have to send those products to Lisa for approval anymore. But there is a clause, because of course there is, if there were any production problems, if after all of these things were sent out, Lisa decided that there was a production problem, there was something that she didn't like, Glamour Dolls would have to pay damages for that. What would those damages be? I have no idea. It's not in here. Another thing that's very important in Lisa's side of the story is that they said that Lisa could end the deal immediately if Glamour Dolls broke certain rules, like not following the approval process or having production issues 3 times. If Lisa decided that she was going to terminate the agreement, Glamour Dolls had to not only stop making products, they also had to stop selling their existing products. Then they had to turn over the rights to the artwork. Anything Lisa had created for Glamour Dolls would now be owned by Lisa. And you might be seeing where this might be going, maybe if you watched part 1, because she did that. That happened. In context, you have to remember that this is 3 months past the date that Glamour Dolls had promised that products would be done and shipped to backers. So they are deep, deep in it now. They are sending out that digital Christmas card where people can send it to their families to say, hey, you might be getting some Lisa Frank products that I bought for you at some point. This is what's coming. That's where we're at. A lot of the backers are already irritated by this point. From Lisa's side, she says in her court documents that LFI, or Lisa Frank Incorporated, fully performed its obligations under the license agreements. I do do believe Glamour Dolls would argue against that. They say specifically, Glamour Dolls repeatedly failed to meet their responsibilities under the agreements they had with Lisa Frank. This is how Lisa says that Glamour Dolls messed up. And remember, she's going to have to prove this for her countersuit. This is what she says. She says that they didn't put in enough effort to produce, distribute, promote, and sell the products that they were supposed to. She says that they didn't aim to sell as many high-quality products as they could that they had signed off in their contract. She said they used Lisa Frank artwork in ads and packaging without getting approval first, which was against their rules of the contract. She says Glamour Dolls was late in making and delivering the products, which they were. She says that Glamour Dolls didn't follow the agreed upon process for getting products inspected and approved, that they didn't pay the royalties and the minimum amounts that they were supposed to, and that they used the Kickstarter to sell products without getting the okay from Lisa Frank Incorporated, which was, of course, not allowed. And finally, they say that Glamour Dolls promised products to backers and then never shipped them out, which is true. But the question is, why didn't they ship them out? What was stopping them from doing it? Was it a fault of Glamour Dolls or was it a fault of Lisa? We're still in Lisa's perspective, so let's follow that. Lisa says that even through all of the things that I just listed, the things that are in Lisa's filing, she continued to try to work with Glamour Dolls to make things work. She says she did this only because she felt like if she didn't continue with Glamour Dolls and see this through and get the backers what they ordered, that it would damage Lisa Frank. It would damage her and her brand. It wasn't about making sure that people got what they paid for. It was about the damage that would cause to her reputation and her brand's reputation. She says in her statement, that Glamour Dolls had made all these promises and they failed to go through on them, that they even said that they were shipping things to people that they never shipped to them, which I don't know if is actually true. Because from what I've seen, anybody that was supposed to get the eyeshadow and the bronzer and the postcard did get those things. There is some question, at least in the comments underneath my last video, of whether people who ordered the brush separately, whether they actually got their brush. So maybe that's what Lisa's talking about. Lisa says that Glamour Dolls ignored rules that they had to follow to get Lisa's approval before making anything. She says that they attempted to make or change products without talking to her first. And also that they didn't give her the samples required that she needed to review. The perspective here is that because of those failures, people started blaming Lisa Frank and not Glamour Dolls, where she's saying it wasn't her fault, it was Glamour Dolls' fault. She says people began to think that Lisa Frank was scamming them, leading to negative comments and complaints online that damaged LFI's reputation. And it was only because Glamour Dolls broke their side of the contract so many times that she ended the contract formally in July of 2018, which is what Glamour Dolls had said, that she abruptly just ended the contract. What Glamour Dolls had said was that before she ended the contract, she required them to pay that final $125,000 to her, and then once she got the money, she terminated the contract, and that they didn't know she was going to do that when she took the money. Supposedly, LFI reminded Glamour Dolls that they needed to do the things that were in the contract, that if she ended it, that they needed to do things like returning all the artwork and paying any royalties owed. However, she says Glamour Dolls didn't pay what they owed or follow through on other responsibilities after the termination, leading to more problems and losses for LFI. So at the final part of the complaint, Lisa says, "This is what I want the court to give me." She says she wants to be paid damages, which means all of the money that they should have received under the agreements with Glamour Dolls. The exact amount of how much she should be paid would be decided at trial. Then she wants to be paid back for all of the costs and the expenses and the lawyer's fees as allowed by law. She also wants to receive interest on any money awarded to them both before and after the court's decision at 18% per year. And it looks like, this happened in 2018. It's now 2024. So that's a lot of freaking interest. I'm not going to do the math in my brain right now because it's physically and mentally impossible for me, but that's a lot of money. And finally, she's like, and if the court wants to give me something else, if you think that there's something else that's fair, feel free. You can give me that too. So that is Lisa's filing. I have lots of thoughts, my friend. Do you have thoughts? Because if you have thoughts, put them in the comment section, because I'm wondering if we have the exact same thoughts. Because that's what the collective brain is all about, is us bouncing ideas off of each other. And in a recorded video, it's a little harder. So if you have thoughts, definitely leave them in the comments. I'm going to tell you mine. Okay, so I have questions. I have 3 major questions. The first one is, what was the timeline of approving the Kickstarter? Because eventually Lisa was participating in the Kickstarter. At least it looks like she was participating in the Kickstarter. So I am curious what Glamour Dolls' side of this is, in that, do they say that they did the Kickstarter without talking to Lisa? Because I noticed something that was in their paperwork that they filed. They label Kickstarter as a business that they were trying to get to work with, right? So it's listed in with Ipsy and Hot Topic. They also list Kickstarter. So it was seen by them, it looks like, as just another way to sell products. And I don't know if that was in the contract, that they had to clear what retailers they were going to work with Lisa. Where I think that Lisa may have them on this is that they had to use Lisa Frank artwork, and they had to promote this using Lisa Frank branded stuff for the Kickstarter before it even started. Remember Candy's video? I wish I could show you the video. It is killing me that this video is private and that I can't show you the full video. But Candy clearly uses Lisa Frank artwork in the video to promote this Kickstarter. If Lisa didn't know about the Kickstarter, then she didn't approve the artwork to be used in Candy's video or any other promotional things that they did for the Kickstarter. So then Lisa would have them on that. That's what I'm thinking most likely happened. I mean, of course, it's possible that Glamour Dolls did talk to Lisa and tell her about the Kickstarter beforehand and did get all of the artwork approved and all of that, but it sounds like Lisa is saying no, that didn't happen. So my next question associated with that, that's kind of a sub-question to question number 1, is when did Lisa find out about the 10 products that they promised to the Kickstarter backers? When did she agree to that? Because it seems like that first contract from 2016 was really for those 4 products that they actually did produce and put out there. The blush brush, the crease brush, the bronzer, and the eyeshadows. Single eyeshadows, not eyeshadow palettes, the single eyeshadows, the ones that were sold at Hot Topic. It is very, very likely that Lisa was on board with the Kickstarter at about a month after the Kickstarter started, because in March, they show posts that are specifically from Lisa participating in encouraging people to enter these contests, to perform these tasks, to show their nail looks and things like that. Lisa is posting there. So if this is really Lisa posting, which it doesn't make any sense to me that it wouldn't really be Lisa, because Glamour Dolls wouldn't be able to hide that from Lisa. They would have to explain that. So it doesn't really make sense to me that that wasn't actually Lisa posting. But she was clearly participating and on board in March. Another clue that Lisa was involved in the Kickstarter from the launch of the Kickstarter was that just a few days after the launch, Glamour Dolls posted that Lisa was going to go into her vault, and the first 1,000 backers were going to get a very special gift from Lisa in their box when they got their stuff. They would get a second, what they called a treat, if they hit 2,000 backers, and that Lisa had something really special planned if they made it to 10,000 backers. So I'm very curious to see if this piece comes out in court. My second question is, why did Glamour Dolls sign this terrible ass contract? This is the most bullshit contract I think I've ever read. It is absolutely nuts. The part that is the most unbelievable for me that Glamour Dolls signed this is the whole approval process. It is absolutely ridiculous. Both sides agree that this was the process. So they have an idea, right? They start with the idea. Let's use the Trapper Keeper palettes as an example. So they have an idea that they want to create a palette that looks like a Trapper Keeper. So they get this plain white Trapper Keeper palette made by the factory. Glamour Dolls then takes this white packaging, this plain plastic packaging that's the mock-up, send it to Lisa. Wait 10 business days. If she doesn't answer, they have to poke her and get her to give feedback. If she doesn't approve of it, Glamour Dolls then takes her ideas, whatever she wants changed, and lets the manufacturing facility know. Then they get another mock-up. Then they send that to Lisa. They wait 10 days. They wait for the feedback. All of that happens all over again until Lisa is happy. I didn't see anything on either side that said Lisa had a limit limit to how many changes that she could make. So let's assume she's now approved the mold. Now they have to wait for Lisa to make the artwork. Once the artwork comes in, again, they send it over to the manufacturer. The manufacturer puts it on the product. Then Glamour Dolls has to have 2 samples of it that they then send over to Lisa and wait those 10 business days again. If she doesn't respond, then they poke her. Same process all over again, where she can either reject it or accept it. Do you see how this is so freaking ridiculous? Because it's not even over then. Even after Lisa has approved the final designed product, when they manufacture it, let's say they make 10,000 of them, because this did happen. They make 10,000 of them. They have to send 2 of the 10,000 to Lisa for a final approval before they can ship those out to customers. And I will tell you, my friend, this actually happened, according to Glamour Dolls, with the vegan leather makeup bag. This is the draft picture of the vegan leather makeup bag that was not designed, that people were really excited about. This is the final design that was supposedly the one, the makeup bag. Well, it turns out, according to Glamour Dolls, Lisa didn't like this. And after they had printed 10,000 of these, Lisa said she didn't want it to be vegan leather anymore. She wanted it to be glitter plastic. And because of the shitty ass contract that they signed, they couldn't sell those 10,000 bags that they had already made because she had approved the sample. They had to start all over again with a glitter bag design. I mean, how fucking ridiculous is this? The fact that Glamour Dolls signed this contract, did they not have a lawyer read it? Like, what happened? How did this get through? From the very jump, this should have just never happened. And I'm sure Glamour Dolls in hindsight is thinking the exact same thing. And my third question is why would they start a Kickstarter in February, knowing that Lisa's contract was ending in December? Because that's where they really got screwed. This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Lisa designed all of the products and got everything going for those first 4 products before the Kickstarter even started. And that was why Glamour Dolls wanted to do more work with her. They were like, yes, this was so smooth. This was so easy. Let's keep this going a little longer. We have till December. It's only February. We have all this time. We pushed out those 4 products pretty quickly as far as getting through this process. So let's do 10 more. We've got this. Glamour Dolls said publicly that they didn't start having problems with Lisa slowing down the process until June of 2017. So that was after the Kickstarter had already started, but before the estimated ship date that they told the backers of September. And it makes sense because if they started signing the contract in June of 2016, by February they had made and designed 4 products. Assuming that Lisa was done with all of the designs and all of the things and all the approvals by the time the Kickstarter started. So that's about 8 months. So they're thinking, well, yeah, this was so easy. We should be able to push out more products by December, by the time Lisa's contract ends. So now I shall present to you the worst case scenario of Lisa as a raging bitch. That's where we're going to go with this. This is worst case scenario what happened, in that Lisa knew her contract was ending in December. She knew that she could slow down this process in order to get a new contract in December and price gouge the hell out of Glamour Dolls. She knew that they had already promised all of these products to the backers. She knew that they had already probably given her $125,000 of the backers' money. She knew that Glamour Dolls was already using the backer money in order to get these samples and ship them to her. The $370,000 that the backers had paid, probably a lot of it was already spent, because that's why they started needing more money. They started selling the products on Backer Kit. They started selling the crease brush on their website. They really started courting Hot Topic to try to sell products over there, because Lisa was taking all of the backers, the Kickstarter backers' money for herself, and they were using it for manufacturing of these products, and they knew it wasn't enough to see this whole project through, because remember, they've got 10 products that they're trying to make by December. So time passes, Lisa drags this out, and then drops the bomb on Glamour Dolls. If you want this to continue, after all this money that you spent, you're gonna have to pay me $500,000. Not $100,000 anymore. It's $500,000. And you know, when you sell to Hot Topic, you're not going to give me 15%, you're going to give me 20%. But at that point, they were so far deep in it that they couldn't get out of it. They absolutely couldn't get out of it. Another place that they probably spent the backers' money was on Wenji. Because if remember the call that Peter did with the backers, he mentions very briefly paying for a video. I'll play that for you.
We actually didn't make a profit off of this Kickstarter campaign. I know that's it's a hard thing for people to kind of believe with the size of it, but we have to manufacture all those goods. We have licensing fees to pay to Lisa. We had to pay for, for production of the video and for all these different things.
I don't know this for a fact, but I think he took the money from the backers and paid Wenji to make that video. Who knows how much he paid her, because influencer rates back then, it was brand new, influencers getting paid for sponsored videos and things like that. I have no idea how much they paid Wenji, but I would imagine that was part of where the money was going and why they needed to raise more money. Because now in December, they not only have to get all these 10 products manufactured, but they also have to pay Lisa this $500,000. Lisa officially had Glamour Dolls buy the unicorn balls. I mean, she had them. She had them. They had no choice, in my opinion, if this is the way that it played out, other than to sign that contract and just hope for the best. If all of this is true, let's say they say, screw you, Lisa, we're not paying you $500,000, we're cutting off the contract now. How do they pay back the backers? They can't. They don't have the money anymore. They don't have the money anymore. It's gone. They don't have the money to pay back the backers, so they are absolutely screwed. Some other things that I found in the Glamour Dolls part of the lawsuit that I didn't see when I made the last video that I want to let you know, because now I imagine at some point there'll be a part 3 of this video, is that they were saying more things about how Lisa interfered with the production of the product. So in the court filing, it says Lisa Frank frequently and unreasonably rejected already manufactured samples without being specific as to the reason for disapproval. In their filing, they said that there was a problem with the Ipsy products. They said in one instance, due to the defendant, Lisa Frank's failure to timely provide artwork for the Ipsy sales order, Glamour Dolls missed the artwork deadline and was forced to pay a fine in the amount of $50,500. The filing continued on and said that Glamour Dolls was shipping her out samples, and then she'd be like, 10 business days later, oh, I lost them. Can you send more of them? It's like, wait, what? And in this case, they may not have more samples because they've requested a certain number of samples from the lab, and then they mail the samples to Lisa Frank, and then Lisa loses them, so then they have to ask the lab for more samples, and they have to pay for that, and then get those samples, and then wait for those to come in, then send those to Lisa, and then they have to wait for Lisa to approve those. You see how it's just dragging everything out? And you remember how I said as part of the contract, this was so sneaky if this is how it happened, that part of the contract was that Lisa would get her artwork back. And that's what she did. And she used that artwork on the Morphe products. The artwork she made for Glamour Dolls. You can see it on the Trapper Keeper style palette that Morphe had made. But to be true to the title of this video, Lisa says that Glamour Dolls failed to comply with the inspection and approval process. Lisa's gonna have to prove this in court. She's gonna have to show them the evidence that Glamour Dolls didn't go through the proper approval process, because even if it's unfair, this is the thing about the law, even if it's unfair, even if it's unreasonable, if Glamour Dolls signed that contract and said that they were gonna follow a certain process, they had to follow that process, even if it's bullshit. And if Lisa can prove that they did things that were against the process, then she had a right to terminate the contract and get her artwork and then sell it to Morphe. It's just so up. It's just so messed up. But we definitely need to end this video the same way we ended the last one, in that the most current ruling by the judge for the 9 claims that Glamour Dolls has against Lisa Frank, the judge only dismissed part of claim 1. That was the breach of contract. They partially dismissed that. But the judge says that Glamour Dolls can go forward on part of the breach of contract and everything else, including unjust enrichment and fraud and defamation and all of those things, that they're moving forward with those claims, which means that the judge thinks that Glamour Dolls has enough evidence to support that these things happened. Not that Lisa isn't going to counter with something else, but Glamour Dolls does have a case to present. And also, like I mentioned in the last video, the last court filing for this was January 24th of 2024. So this is going to be ongoing. So I imagine at some point there will be a part 3. I don't imagine it will be soon, but I said that last time. So who knows? At this point, my friend, it is your turn in the collective brain of makeup awesomeness. I would love to know your thoughts on this new information that was sent to me. And thank you again so much to the person that calls themselves Fake Gothic Girl. Thank you for sending me the link to this court document that I previously didn't have access to. It really opened my eyes to a lot of things, and hopefully it added some context to you if you watched the first piece, to what Lisa was saying about what was happening and what her countersuit is all about. Let me know any and all thoughts down in the comment section down below. Thank you so, so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you would like to hang out just a little bit longer, YouTube should be recommending a couple of videos for you over here to watch. I'm going to put a previous episode of Behind the Controversy down there in case you didn't see it. That's a really good one. If you would like to watch the top one, that one YouTube's picking for you based on your viewing history, which video they think that you're going to like. But if you got to go because you have things that you got to do, I get it. Thank you for hanging out as long as you did, and mad love to you, and I will see you in a video very, very soon. Bye!